Friends, neighbors, do you get as much pleasure as I do from being part of the history of our commons and enjoying its spectacular beauty? 15 years ago, I lived in Washington, D.C., and attracted by that history and beauty, was arranging to buy my home here in Gold Country. When I learned that Burger King was being allowed to open a fast food joint in the middle of one of our nation's few historic gold rush towns, I almost decided to move elsewhere. I didn't consider Burger King a neighbor then, and I haven't changed my mind. It was a U.S. company from Miami, then became Brazilian. Now it's scheduled to be Canadian, with its legal domicile address in Oakville, Canada, but it will still be 51% owned by the Brazilians. Confusing? Not really. It's all about making more money and avoiding taxes. Taxes you and I will have to pay because Burger King doesn't. Burger King's U.S. fast food restaurants that pay workers poverty wages are not moving to Canada, only its profits. If Burger King were a car, it would be driven by an American CEO, have Canadian license plates, a Brazilian registration in the glove compartment, and much of its fuel provided by profits from exploited workers all over the world. I have nothing against Brazil or Canada. I'm just making it clear that this foreign corporation, in addition to not being a neighbor for all the reasons I listed in my first video, is now going to avoid paying much of its U.S. federal taxes. Reuters news service reported that Burger King intended to avoid U.S. federal taxes following its purchase of a Canadian coffee chain, Tim Hortons, by becoming a Canadian company. This is a tax evasion scam known as Inversion. The Reuters report said Burger King is a top food supplier to the U.S. Armed Forces, and its decision to become a Canadian company will mean that while U.S. military families support Burger King by buying its food, Burger King will no longer support service members by paying its fair share of taxes. Of course, Burger King is not the only Mariposa business that isn't local, that isn't a neighbor. Mariposa's largest employer and Yosemite's concessionaire, Delaware North, is from Buffalo, New York. It also owns the Tenaya Hotel in Mariposa County. Two other Mariposa businesses not owned locally are Subway from Milford, Connecticut, and Rite Aid from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. These are four business brands owned by national or international corporations outside our county, or in Burger King's case, outside our country. These corporations all send and spend part or all of their profits out of our community. And this includes Aramark, Yosemite's next concessionaire. In other words, these profits go to make other communities prosper. They go to consume products and services that create more jobs elsewhere. They are dollars not available to create new jobs here in Mariposa, to eliminate our unemployment. Burger King's profits sent to Canada can't pay the public costs of education, welfare, medical care, highways, sheriff and fire services in our community. And a very big part of these profits come from exploiting, there's no better word for it, from exploiting our neighbors by paying poverty wages. What's wrong with this picture? Mariposa and California provide a great business environment where businesses earn good profits, but some Mariposa businesses export their profits directly into the coffers of the 1%, to corporations and the rich outside our county, outside our state, even outside our country, instead of paying living wages to our workers. These workers are our neighbors who spend their lives in our community, who raise their families here, and who frequent local businesses, spending their wages locally for groceries, rent, transport, and so many other things that create local jobs. That's what's wrong with this picture. Before I go further, I need to point out that I'm not trying to make foreign corporations into enemies. They are the ones who have chosen the path of greed and exploitation. They are the ones who have raced our workers to the bottom by paying poverty wages. If they want to pay living wages, provide good benefits and working conditions, and be good neighbors, I will be the first to say welcome to the neighborhood. If foreign corporations are not my neighbors, then who is? I choose the human beings who live next to me, the warm, sentient beings who inhabit my county. The Supreme Court may believe that corporations are people, but until corporations are able to be stopped for speeding, drafted to serve in the military, or sent to prison, or taxed like the rest of us, I don't buy it. And no matter what corporate politicians, corporate economists, and corporate media say, at the end of the day, every worker who works hard and plays by the rules deserves a living wage. I say this as an American and as a neighbor. And I also say it as a follower of Jesus, who clearly stated the simple rule that ought to guide all of us, whether we are believers or not. He said, "You are to love your neighbor as I have loved you." To me, that means workers are to be treated and paid fairly. And here in our beautiful and prosperous community, many workers, all of whom are our neighbors, are not. So neighbor, are we on the same page? Let us commit from this moment forward to love and care for all our neighbors, and to teach our children that in Mariposa, everyone helps everyone else, because we know who are our friends and neighbors. We are all Mariposa.